Okay, looks like we're live and ready to go. Hope you're all doing well. Phil Pendlebury here, and of course for visitors from the Middle East, Assalamu alaikum, mahaba. Good to have you with us and good to see a few familiar faces as well. So, we have a little live session today. First of all, sorry it's been a little while since the last one. I've been busy with a few other things. Hopefully you'll find out about all that in the not too distant future. But we're hoping to keep things going a little bit more now with the videos, so keep your eye on the channel. So today, forgive me just having a quick look over at my notes, we're going to have a look at some dialogue editing workflow in Nuendo 12. Now, I've been using Nuendo 12 for a little while now, but haven't officially shown it on the channel. So we're going to try and have a look at a few different things, different workflows, maybe one or two things that you haven't seen before, and maybe some things that you've been doing in Nuendo 11 that we're now doing in Nuendo 12 with some slight improvements. So the first thing I'm going to do before we move into the main thing, the main kind of dialogue editing workflow stuff, is I want to create a template, because this is something that a lot of people miss out, really. In fact, I answer a lot of questions about this on various forums, like people getting stuck with projects that they've created and why are the files not in the right places and so on. So what I thought I'd do is just create a quick kind of film orientated template. It's not going to take long, but we'll just go through it step by step, and you can add your own steps later, and then you'll see how the process works. So I think we should just get on with it. So this is, I'm going to create a basic template in Nuendo 12. Let's go. So we'll move over to the to Nuendo, and we've got a blank project here, which is doing absolutely nothing at the moment. There's a tempo and a time signature, which is not really relevant, and we've also got let's see now. Hopefully we've got the primary time display set up as you probably would for some small film, which would be seconds, or maybe you'd be using time code, but that's up to you. Let's leave it at seconds for now. I've got an offset at the beginning. Again, this is something that you may want to look at later on. Quite often, excuse me, you'll find that people start their film at 1 hour in or 2 hours in, and so on and so forth. All that stuff is a little bit more advanced than what we're going to do today. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a bunch of folder tracks. So what we do is we'll go to the menu over here and add folder tracks, and we're going to create 9 folders, and we'll name them all differently, so it doesn't really matter what we put in here at the moment, but we can put dialogue as that's going to be the first one. So there's 9 folders there. Let's make them a little bit more, whoops, the wonders of being live, a little bit more visible. All right, so we've got dialogue, which would be the first one, and this is where the tracks are going to be that contain your character dialogue. I like to do it like this. Of course, you may be different, but let's see if I can just get this camera on for a second. Not that one. There we go. Yeah, okay, so you can see me in the corner now. Yeah, so I want to reiterate here, this is my way of doing stuff for maybe what you'd class as a short film, or maybe a little animation or something like that. For big movies, I'm sure you have your own, workflow already. So maybe the template thing won't be quite as useful for you, but what we're going to do in a minute afterwards will. And also, I still think that the whole issue of how to create a template and how to start a new project from it is something that needs looking at. So right, let's carry on. Sorry about that. Hopefully we can turn that camera off and we can move on. So we've got dialogue. Second, I'm going to put footsteps, because that's always the second thing I do in the job. Get it out of the way. Foley. Oops. And number 4 would be sync effects, or something along that line. Like I said, this is my you know, my little way of doing things. Design effects. Let's see, we'll do a separate one for Walla, which is your kind of background mumbling and humbling, and atmosphere, not to be, we'll actually call it atmosphere now. Let's call it Atmos, not to be confused, of course, with the Dolby Atmos. Number 8, if you've got some music that's already been done or that you're working on, and then we'll have a folder, we'll call it Scratch. I love how Windows tries to correct me. Scratchy. Okay, so we've got basic folders. So there's nothing in those. These are just folders. For those of you that don't know Nuendo, these are just folders to contain your tracks. So moving on from there, we're going to also add groups now. So we've got the group tracks here. You can see on the mixer, in fact, at the moment, if I look, I've got groups here, and there's nothing showing at all. So what I'm going to do now is create a corresponding 9 groups, and I want to get through this as quick as possible. So if I'm missing any steps, please forgive me. But there's nothing too super, exciting going on here. These are basically bus channels that I'm going to initially be able to route all these individual things to. So let's quickly zoom in on that. Hopefully that works. Yeah. There's the add group dialog. We'll go back. You've seen that before. And I'm basically going to create corresponding groups, 9 of them. So now we need to quickly go through. We'll go to the, I could actually create a little macro here that copies and pastes, but let's just quickly do them manually. This is the wonders of a live stream. If we're pre-recorded here, I could skip through this at 10 times speed, couldn't I? But still, it gives me a chance to witter on a little bit. What I also like to do is make sure that the colors are coordinated. I like to have things, tampons, okay, we won't bother with that one. Atmos, and music, Scratch. Okay, so there's our groups. You can see them all at the bottom here. So that's the channels and groups. I have actually got one of these that I've already set up. So we're going to load this in a second, but I just want to go through the process with you. All right, so the next thing we would do, or I would do, would be to add some kind of rough effects. Again, depending on what you're working on, you might find that the tracks have effects on them inserted. But in this case, I like to just have some basic effects, all ready to go. So we'll just, let's see, add track. Yeah, okay, so we want to create those inside the FX folder. And the outputs, it's got to be main out. And the names will be, okay, so we've got room. And yeah, that was just happens to be there. Let's create 2 more of those. Create 2 more effects, which I'll show you what I use in a while. So we'll just create 2 the same for now, and then I'll load in my actual project. So they'll just appear. The main thing here is what I want to show you is how to move the things around. So you can see over here, let's see if we can zoom in on that. It's a bit difficult doing live, but I've got a little tool here that enables me to move in. So let's see if this works. And hopefully you can see that now. And okay, so you can see I've got zones open in the mixer. And if I go to this little area here, I'm going to show effects channels. All right. So what I'm going to do now is move the effects channels over to the left. So they're all over here. In fact, there's 4 because I added one more than I needed to. I've got my actual groups in the center, and then I've got my main outputs here. We'll just check the routing. Everything's routed to main out. That's great. Okay. And finally, let's just, because I want to show roughly what's going to happen, let's open this dialog track and add 3 dummy audio tracks. So we'll just, because we're going to use these in a minute. So we'll just call these dummy for now and make sure that they're in that dialog folder, which they now are. You can see the 3 tracks there. And the beauty of that would be that if you already had existing dialogue on a video or something like that, you could just instantly drag them onto any of these. And the nice thing there being, if we now show the audio, which is these 3 tracks here, dummy 1, 2, and 3, we can actually get rid of the other stuff here. Yeah. So that's just the basic 3. You can actually route these to wherever you like. So we can do dialogue for the 3 dummy tracks. That will be dialogue. And once we save that now, that routing will all be saved with the project. So the final thing we want to do is go to project setup. There's the project setup. You can see the start time, the duration, the frame rate, which of course will depend on the video that you're using. And I'm going to bring in a rough video in a second, which probably won't match the frame rate, but we'll do that just, you know. Display format, as I mentioned earlier, that's your primary display. Of course, you can always swap that. Your time display offset and so on. Sample rate, I'm working at 48K at the moment. It's about the best that my current machine will handle. Bit depth, 24-bit. And what you don't see on here is, in the studio setup, is your latency and processing precision, sample precision. Now, don't forget, if we move that down to 0, you'll get to 1, you'll get sample accurate automation, which I think you know about. And finally, of course, it's up to you to set your buffer size in your ACO driver. Which I'm currently at 512. I'll just bring that up to double check. 512 samples on my Fireface USB. And that is because I've been working in Dolby Atmos, and the Dolby renderer only works when you have it set at 512 samples at the moment. All right, so we've created our rough template. Like I said, this is mine. Yours will be different, I'm sure. And I've kind of organized things roughly how I want them to be, although there's a couple of mistakes there, isn't there? That needs to go over there if that's going to be an effect. And all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's my 9 folders. And don't forget, by default, these folders don't do anything. All they're doing is holding tracks, but you'll see that there's a use for those later on. For example, if we have 3 or 4 takes in the same folder, you can now do some clever stuff with them. Okay, so we've made that. Now, that would be what you would do, or roughly what you would do if you were setting up a new project, right? But this is the part that I really want to get across. We need to save that as a template, because then we can use that as a starting point for anything else we do from now on. And not only that, if we work this way, it means that we will be able to make sure that all files are in the correct places on your disk. Instead of you worrying about, oh, well, I started this there, and then the files are in different places and so on. So let's do that. This is the final step here. I've got my 1-minute marker created at the beginning, which I always do. It's just a habit. Let's just check everything else. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do is File. Hopefully my auto zoom thing should have worked there. We're going to go to Save as Template. And let's make sure that you can see that. I'll try to zoom in. Yeah, okay. And what I'm going to do is save that as empty session folders. Now there's the one I've already done, empty session folders. But you can type in any name you like where it says new preset. You can give it a little bit of a summary here. And you can also put it under a template category. Unfortunately, there isn't one for dialogue or whatever, but it's not really relevant, to be honest. I just have all mine under production. You can even put the templates inside folders themselves. So I've got all my Atmos stuff inside an Atmos folder, and all the rest are still outside. This is a cut down list, of course. The main list is much bigger than this, but this will do for now. So empty session folders, we're going to click OK, and that will save that as a template. Right, so that's already done, so I'm not going to resave it because it's already done. So now we can close that completely because we're not going to use that actual one. That's just blank. Okay, so what we're going to do now is start a new project based on what we've just done. So we've got Nuendo showing a black screen at the moment because there's nothing in it. We're going to go to the hub and we're going to go to templates. We're going to go to empty session folders. That's the project we just made as a template. And make sure that use default location is not selected. All right, not selected. So we're going to go prompt for project location. Now, before we actually make this project, what we're going to do is we're going to go and make a folder on the disk. So we're going to call this Livestream DL. Let's call it that. Livestream DL. And there it is. There's nothing in it. It has to be an empty folder, right? Prompt for project location, create. So what we're going to do now is find that location, that empty location that we've just created. Now I'm lucky here because I've got a little utility which is quite neat that enables me to select any folder on the disk. This is the Windows file explorer here. And when I click back to Cubase or Nuendo, it'll automatically take me to the same place. So I could go to Steinberg here and it will automatically take me there, which is very neat. Little utility called Listery. So Livestream DL, select folder, and voila, as the saying goes in French. In French. All right, so no, I'm not a comedian. So there we are. That project is now set up. All we have to do is save it. So we're going to go save. You can see the Livestream DL. We're going to call it Livestream DL. Oops. Again, doesn't matter if I've spelt it incorrectly because this is just a demonstration. We're not actually going to do much with this at all. So now that project is set up and ready to go. If we look back into the folder, you can see that it's created its audio folder. There's nothing in it at the moment. And the Livestream project itself. And of course, it's all inside the correct place, which we created here. So let's have a quick look at importing files. Now, nobody wants to sit and watch me import a load of files. I know that. This will just take 2 or 3 minutes, but there's 1 or 2 things that I want to show you. All right, so if you want to import stuff, usually you'll do it from over here, File, Import. There is a ton of options. Obviously, AAF and OAM, AAF and OMF. Embedded would be the most used for the film stuff if you happen to have those, but there's lots and lots of other options, and of course one that we'll be using today will be from a previous project, so that's tracks from a project. So that's where to go to import. Now let's say we have a video And you know, we want to bring that video in and put some music to it. You've seen that before. I've demoed it before, I know. So let's have a quick look at how that works. So we want to bring in a video. We'll go back to our folder here, and there's a little Pixabay video here that I was going to put some music to at some point. So we'll just drag that in and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so there it is. We drag it in. Immediately, let's put that up at the top. I always obviously like to have it up at the top. Now, if there was audio with this, you would also get an audio track, right? So I will put that in the video and guide folder. I think that's one that I might have missed earlier on when I was talking about making this template. So there we are. It's a good job I made one earlier on, isn't it? When I wasn't worrying too much about the wonders of Livestream. And you can see there's a big red message there. Obviously, the frame rate of this video is different to what I've set in the project. So we simply have to go to project and get frame rate from video, and it's 29.97, and we're off. There may be some changes in the timing. Let's not worry about that for now. We'll just play the video, and there it is. Okay, so there we have a lady trying on some clothes and the click track's on, which we certainly don't need at the moment. So that's that. Now then, interesting thing is here, what I wanted to point out. We go back to the folder. So we're in Livestream DL. Notice if there was audio associated with this video, it would appear in the audio folder. However, the video itself is nowhere to be seen. So this is something that we need to be very careful of. It's organizing your actual folders before you start actually working on the project itself. Now don't forget, this had to be an empty folder before in order for us to start work. But now, what I would have normally done would have been to have moved this video into that folder, and I have a little utility of my own, which we're not going to go into detail with, but I'll just quickly show you. And this is for Windows, so sorry Mac guys, but I'm sure you've got something similar. And what this will do will make a bunch of folders to your specifications. So there's some that are already preset. There's an INI file. I'm not trying to push this application. In fact, I think it's a freebie anyway. But just to show you how useful this is. So if for example, the Grammy, there's all these folders here. If we were doing film, this is my rough short movie, short film folders. So what I would do would be to direct the application to the Livestream DL, and it will create all these folders, one of them being raw video. All right, so I'll click go, and then we get all those folders. And of course, then that means that everything is stored nicely and the video is inside the project folder, and so on. So I wouldn't have imported it first. I hope that makes sense. I would have created the folders first, but after we've created the actual folder and put the project in it, and then we move on from there. So next thing, okay, so we've got, let's just pull in again. Let's see if I think I've got some rough audio here, because we're going to get to this in a minute. Yeah, let's just pull in a rough bit of audio. We're not going to play it, don't worry. I'll put my headphones on when the time comes for that. So we'll move that into there. And there's the audio. Again, you can see as well, we've got video follows edit mode so that it's moving along with her, but not to worry about that for the moment. So now we need to have a quick look at one more item before we move into the real kind of interesting stuff. So I want to show you the pull, which is this here. I've got it on a hotkey. We'll get rid of the video because it's irrelevant at the moment. Let's just make sure that that's nicely visible. So we'll zoom in on that for a moment and you can see the pull. All right, so there is the audio. Everything that's audio will appear in that folder. And there's the video. Everything that's video will appear in that folder. Now, that's not to say that if you like to be super organized, you can indeed do some more work within the pool itself. So, for example, let's say we've got a bunch of Foley and, you know, we want to make sure that it keeps organized. We can just go to the audio folder here and we can go create folder and we can say Foley. And then any audio that happens to be of that nature, we can then move it into the Foley folder. And that means that, you know, it's just in a way, it's kind of more of a visual organization, I suppose, but it does help you when you end up with thousands and thousands of files. So the pool, very useful. You can search quite nicely. You can sort by various column orders. And of course, you can pre-audition and have a quick look. And another thing that's really, I find quite useful, if we right-click on here, we can, if I can find it, show in Explorer. So let's say you've got 100 files here and you find the one that you know, you listen to it and yeah, okay, that's the one I was looking for. You can then right-click and you can go show in Explorer and it will open up your Explorer to exactly where that file is. I find that really useful. Right, so next thing, let's now open up. Looking in the wrong place. Dialog detect, there we go. All right. So we're going to activate that project. And this is the project that I'm going to use now to show you the rest of the stuff. We've got one more little thing I want to quickly look at while this is just loading up. Yeah, we've got the video there and we've got some dialogue. Yeah, okay. Actually, what I should have done really is gone back. Yeah, I've done that a little bit early. I do apologize. Again, this is one of the negative sides of doing things live, I suppose. So we can easily just flip back. That's fine. So there's the project, the rough project that we had. And what I was going to do is just quickly, again, I know you guys really don't need to see this, but one or two people may be enlightened by it. Import tracks from project, because I want to import on my dialogue from a previous project. So let's just do that. And you can see how simple it is to do this. It's just amazing, really. So here's a previous project. One or two of you will have seen this already. It was a voiceover thing. We've got effects, we've got footsteps, we've got atmospheres, we've got all the group tracks, you know, effects, VCAs, etc., and the markers. But all we want today is the dialogue. So what I'm going to do is just select that. It's that simple. Voices. And because they're all in that particular folder, which should actually be named dialogue, but hey, this was a long time ago before I kind of got into my current workflow. So I want those voices. I'm not bothered about the one that's already there. So events and parts, which is obviously what's in those on those tracks. Channel and inspector settings, great. That includes all the effects and built-in stuff that I've done. Absolute position, so that'll import them to the original timecode position, which is absolutely fine. And copy to the active project folder. All right, so we just hit OK and voila. There we go. All right, so there's all the voices. Well, that was a bit of a conundrum, but anyway, we got to it in the end. So there's all the voices, as you can see, and we can now start moving into some of the more interesting stuff. So what I'm going to do now is load up the project that has this all set. And just a quick one before we do, quick look at the pool, and you can see there, everything's there. As I was saying earlier on, all the audio files are in their places. It's showing you the path to where they are, and you can see that everything's been moved to the folder we created earlier on, which is one thing that, as I said, can quite often send your project into a turmoil if you didn't follow that procedure that we did earlier on. So right, well, I have another drink of water, and thankfully I've got a cough button here because I need to cough. There we go. I'm going to load in the project with this all set up. So let's do that right now. Open Hub, and don't forget, there it is. And we must remember to make sure it's active this time. Activate. Okay, so again, we don't really need to see the video right now. Well, we'll keep it there for the moment, I guess. So there's a few things to look at here. We're going to move into some of the camera on. We're going to move into some of the kind of more interesting features of Nuendo 12 here. Some of the new dialogue features. So this means putting the headphones on. So as soon as I turn the camera off, I'm going to reach over and chuck the headphones on so you guys can also listen in. It'd be a bit tricky because some of the stuff like background noise is a little bit difficult to get across on a YouTube video because it's inherently very quiet in the first place, but that's all right. Have a quick drink of water and we'll move on. Cheers. Right, camera's off and headphones on. Now let's see what we can do. First of all, let's make sure we can hear everything. So we'll let's just go back to the main. Let's just have a quick run of something.
Anthony Didibinini Bibisa.
There we are. Yep. Okay. So you guys have heard this VO thing before, so there really isn't any need to actually play you the whole thing this time. If you want to listen to that, you'll find it on my channel, and you can actually see how the whole thing was put together, which is quite an interesting little video, to be honest. There's no video in it. There's no actual video, but we'll leave that. I will leave that there because it's interesting. You'll see the way that we can move the cursor around. Let's put it somewhere that I'm not going to move it anymore. Right. So let's go through this step by step. First thing I want to do is let's demonstrate selecting some takes. So we zoom in here a little bit, and you can see that I've got my first little bit here, and I want to choose the best take from that. All right, so this is quite simple. We've just got the 3 takes here. We're going to solo, have a listen.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today.
Okay. And then this one.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on.
All right, you get the idea. And then this one.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on.
Now, just for an example, if there was one of those that had, let's say a nice little bit, let's turn snap off as well, also quite important with this. You can see that the cursor's jumping there. If I just disable snap, see it's much smoother. So let's say we liked that bit, and we liked that bit, and we like that bit. Really simple. All we have to do is find the fill track here, which is here. It's this one in yellow. We could get rid of all that. And we could say, okay, we like that. We're going to move that down. Do you remember earlier on I was showing you about how to put in the dummy tracks? Now, if I hold Control while I'm moving that, let's put it back again. Let's just move it with the mouse. You can see it's quite difficult to, where's it going to be? It's not going to be in the right place. Now, obviously, you're going to do some lining up anyway. especially with the video involved. But let's just say these takes were all in exactly the right place, which in fact they are, because they're all the same take. To be honest, they're just treated to sound slightly differently, just for the sake of an example. Hold down the control key. You should have control assigned to this. I think it's the default, and drag downwards. And no matter what you do, if you try to move left, you can see I'm moving the mouse left and right. That is not allowing me to move. So I could say, right, 1, 2, 3. Those are my 3 bits that I liked. They're all in the perfect place. And there you go. Or you could do the same thing with Alt, which will copy, and then again hold Control, and you'll get a copy instead, which is probably preferable. Right, so let's put that all back. And there we go. So that was selecting takes. I mean, again, this is not rocket science, but it's leading up to some of the more kind of interesting stuff that we're going to do. So you've already seen or had a quick listen to these 3 takes. All right. So let's have a look at this one here. This one is rough, right?
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look.
I've just had a message from my friend T there, who said, please can you remove the Asian lady from the screen while you're not using. Yep, because it's distracting. I understand that. Okay. We will do that, but let's do that now. I know T, he's probably joking, but hey. Okay, so very, very noisy take with a lot of background noise there.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on in studio.
So let's zoom in on that a little bit more. So that might have been quite a nice take, or some bits of it might have been really usable, but we want to work with it more. So we've got now a feature in Nuendo 12 called Dialogue Detect. And if we go to Audio Advanced, and we'll go to the Detect Silence. We need to select it first, of course. Yeah, often make that mistake. Detect Silence, here it is. So you may be familiar with this already. So a quick listen with the audition.
No problem.
One thing I do find with that is it seems to be quite a lot quieter than the actual main output.
Come on in and lots of voices to have a look and see what's going on.
So I can have a listen and so on and so forth. Now previously you could look at this Detect Silence box and you could use peak level, and you can see we've got the little red lines there. And if I change the open and close threshold, hopefully you can see, I'm going to try to zoom in here. Excuse me. You can move those so that anything outside of that red there would be considered, volume. Anything below it would be considered silence, which was great. And maybe, quite useful for this. However, what we can do now, we can just say dialogue. There's no settings at all. We've got a minimum time open and closed, which obviously we'll show you in a second the differences there. And let's just see, we'll say mute gaps. And let's just analyze and see, and you'll see the outcome. So don't forget, this is a very noisy take. There's a lot of background noise underneath. Excuse me, having another drink of water while I thought that would take a lot longer. Okay, so you can see.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of
that. It's picked out the dialogue. If we turn off mute gaps.
No problem.
You just hear the whole thing, but if we turn on the little mute gaps button, that's a very tiny little button, radio box or whatever, checkbox. you can hear that the gaps themselves have been muted.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show
However,
you the things going on here.
You see there's a little gap there.
We're recording here. We're recording here. We're recording here. We're recording.
Which to me, it would have been handy if that had have been cut out, right? So what we need to do is we'll just change the, I think it's this one that'll do it. We'll soon find out. Let's change that down to 100 milliseconds. We'll change that down to 100 milliseconds as well, and let's reanalyze that. And straight away,
here we're recording lots of on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on here.
Okay, so that sounds a bit sudden, doesn't it? And you know the routine when you're putting takes together, you'll grab little bits of background noise from other places to make it sound less sudden. Once again, let's have another listen.
On here, we're recording.
It's still a bit sudden. Never mind.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some.
The whole point here is to show how effective that is and how quick and easy it was. So now we've done analyze. We can hit auto if we want to, but I don't like to do that. I want to hear it first, which we've just done. I can do process, and there. The beauty of this now is we have those three parts separately. Don't forget that let's get right in there and have a closer look, because these are the parts we're going to be working on mostly at the moment. Don't forget that the original audio still exists. It's just that it's been clipped out into three separate parts.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look. So
really, with that, I just wanted to quickly show you that, because if you imagine if you had a, 20 minutes worth of dialogue all recorded like that, forget about the background noise and all that stuff. If you imagine you had a lot of dialogue instead of just one line like this, and you want to be able to manipulate them separately, you do have to, and I know you've all done this, you spend a lot of time, even no matter how quick you are, you spend a lot of time cutting, chipping, moving, cut. And I just find that new little feature there is super handy. I hope you will too. And that's exclusive to Nuendo 12, incidentally. Right. So what I'd like to do now is just go one little step further with this, and something that I haven't demonstrated before on the channel. And a couple of people have asked about it, so why not? So we're going to put that take back how it was. Forget what I've just done for the moment, and one more listen. All right. Oof.
No problem.
I mean, it's quite hilarious. I mean, it would never. Hopefully, you would never have audio. I was going to say, hopefully, you'd never have audio given to you as bad as that, but who knows? Who knows? And hey, these are the things that we have to deal with, right? But I did make this up. Okay, that's it's an AC noise or something. Very noisy.
No.
It's an AC noise with a very noisy fan, and I've overlaid my voice onto it and bounced it. So it is one file. So, there's no cheating going to happen here. It was only cheating putting it together, really, because I wanted something that was really horrible and noisy so I could show you what we're about to go through, and the little bit that we've just done now. So yeah, that's, again, probably telling you things that you already know, but when you are recording voice, don't forget to register some of that background noise. So if there is a noise that you can't get rid of whatsoever, try and record some of it like that. Yeah. Right, camera's off. Let's go back to the screen. We've got that noisy take, and we chopped up the bits, and you could hear the the noise in between. But what I'd like to show you now is a little bit of Spectralayers using ARA or ARA. So this is just immensely powerful. We can actually use Spectralayers now using the ARA extension to treat this audio. Now, I'm not an expert with Spectralayers, but I know how to use the kind of basic features. So what we do is we go up here, we go to, where is it now? Oh, isn't it typical? Extensions, there we are. We go to Spectralayers. Notice that I had this part selected already. And we'll just wait for Spectralayers to open. Let's make sure you can see that. And we can have a quick play with the view and the 3D side and so on if you want to. So you can see the audio there. This is very, very neat. And we can just play.
No problem. Come on in.
Now the nice thing there for straight away is I'm using Nuendo's keys to control the start and stop, which has always been an issue with these things in the past, where you bring up an overlay of some kind and you press the space bar or whatever you're used to, and it started that, but it's not stopped. It started Nuendo playing, but it hasn't started the overlay playing and so on. But that's all because this is built in. Now you've got the same keys.
No problem. Come on in.
Right. So let's do what we can. So first thing I'm thinking, I'm listening to that, I'm thinking, right, well, there's a horrible fan sound at the beginning, which is very bad right at the beginning. But that doesn't actually matter because we can cut out that. And in fact, we can cut out all of the noise in between the gaps, right?
Problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here.
But the problem is the noise underneath the actual voice. So if you haven't seen this before, very neat. So what I'm going to do is just select a little area. Let's have a listen. I'm not going to worry too much about the rattly fan, but just the noise itself. Let's go back. Let's try that again, maybe there. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go up to register noise. So we need to register that. Here's the noise reduction. We're going to register, and it's taken it already. That was super quick. So that was the process noise reduction. We've registered the noise. What that means is it's taken a sample, not just a sample really. I mean, obviously it's much more than that. Of the background noise that was being created there. So now we're going to try and get rid of it. So let's go to noise reduction, and we'll leave everything. We'll leave everything at the default, and let's have a preview.
Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on in Studio One.
Not bad at all. I mean, okay, let's maybe raise up the tolerance and the reduction ratio a little bit, and try again.
Problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on in Studio One. Problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on in Studio.
Now, obviously, you can hear artifacts there. I know that. But what I wanted to do is just in fact, you know, would you?
Problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on in Studio One. Problem. Come on in.
So let's do it roughly like that. Let's do it roughly like that. So we've still got some noise now. Don't worry again.
No problem. Come on in and I'll...
Not worried about that fan, but let's go back now and do it again. Process, noise reduction, register noise.
Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on in...
So what we've got there is kind of, I wouldn't say it's 100.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things.
I wouldn't say it's 100% usable. And you guys, I know you're not daft. You know that there's no point in me saying, oh yeah, that's great, let's move on.
Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see.
You can hear some kind of stereo artifacts, and I think that we could probably get rid of those with a bit of fiddling about. Of course, my whole goal here, this is not supposed to be a tutorial on how to deal with noise. It's just showing you some of the features. However, what I want to get across here is that we've used these tools, and let's say there was one or two words in that area that, you know, we needed. You could definitely use them. I mean, you know, like I said, the whole take itself.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you.
Come on in. That would be usable.
I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going on.
And what I'm hearing, I don't know if you guys have got your headphones on, but what I'm hearing is some funny kind of things in the stereo field, which I feel pretty sure we could get rid of, to be honest, if I spent more time. But we haven't got the time, and I've already bored you enough with this kind of slow way I have of working. So let's not worry too much more about that. The point being that now we've done with the ARA, and what we can do now is we can just make that permanent if we want to. We need to close that. We make sure that the part's selected. We go to audio and we go extensions, make extension permanent. And that will then make that a permanent thing. It will remove the whole ARA scenario from the scenario, and there we have it. Or we can do the opposite, which would be to remove the extension from the selected event. So we'll do that for now, and you can hear we're back to our original noisy file. Pretty cool. So let's say we wanted to crossfade something here. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but let's just crossfade. Let's just move. We've got a little bit of background noise there, as you can see.
No problem. Come on in and
In fact, there's a little lip smack as well there, which we could get rid of. So moving that across, we select both parts and we can press the X key, and that gives us a crossfade. However, we can go into a bit more detail if you go to the fades menu, and some of this is new. You've got the open fade editors. Fade times need to be less than 0, of course. All right, so let's just do that again, and then we'll go over. And you can see we've got quite a lot of detail that we can go into here with the crossfading of those two parts, which is super neat.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of.
I mean, you know, you could spend a good half an hour on this dialogue alone. Extremely powerful. I'm still hearing that little
problem. Come on in.
Lip smack there, so perhaps we could just move the fade across a little bit.
Problem. Come on in and.
Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing to me.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going.
It's not a very well recorded voice, to be fair, is it? So we've got that. We've also got some new commands on the fade side. So if I put the cursor right in the middle there, let's put that back how it was. There we go. We go to audio. It's obviously handy to have these set up as key commands, but I thought it would be nice to show them directly from the menu anyway. So we've got now fade in and fade out to and from cursor. So look where I've left the cursor there, and we can fade out from the end of there, which is super handy.
Recording lots of voices today. Let's have a look and see what's going.
Now you might be thinking, well, I could have done that manually like this. Maybe you could, but again, it's all down to speed. If you had this on on a key command, how fast would that have been? So you've got the same thing on the way in as well. So now let's just once again. This must be frustrating for you guys watching me fiddle about here. I'm sorry about that. Occasionally, when you're streaming live, your brain tends to lose a few IQ points. So let's do the fade out from cursor again. And notice what happens now when we move, that the fade itself stays the same length, which is quite handy. But we can also change that behavior as well now. And I'm going to just quickly select a range because I just want to show you. All right, so for example, we've got that little bit of noise at the beginning there.
Come on in.
Actually, it's a slight breath and a bit of noise. So as we discovered earlier on, and as you guys know, cutting out noise completely is sometimes not a good idea, but you might want to fade it in and out. So let's say we're going to just select that range there. We now have another command here under fades, which is fade into range start. And you can see we've got a little fade there. And we've also got the fade out from range end. So I'm using these as, demos. They're not so much, practical examples in this case, I guess. But I'm going to show you some practical examples now of another amazing feature. So what we need to do for this is to go back all the way where we've got all 3 takes.
No problem.
Right, sorry, this is going to be a bit loud because we're playing all 3 of them. So what I do is I just, as beauty of this, I've got my dialogue group. So although it's not perfect gain staging, we'll just lower the group level a little bit.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today.
So you're hearing all 3 of those. Yes, I'll remove the video again. Now, second, accidentally pulled that up there. Okay, F8, there we go. So, imagine that those were in fact 3 different takes, and there may be something that you kind of know that you're going to have to spend a bit of time editing those later on, like we have done, choosing which line you like and so on and so forth. But what I'd like to show you here is the new phase coherent AudioWarp, because this is simply stunning. So imagine we've got those 3 takes there. They're all from different mics, and you know that there's going to be something about that line there, problem.
No problem.
You feel that Phil has said, no problem, a bit too fast. The problem is he's already on his way back to Kathmandu, and you can't get him to do it again. So we need to somehow change that. However, we're not sure yet which take we're going to use, and the producer sat behind us, or the director's saying, well, I don't like the way he said problem there, it's too fast. Yeah, yes, but I'll fix it when when we've chosen that. No, just sort it out. So you know the routine. So I'd like to show you this. This is the phase coherent AudioWarp. The phase coherent side is really useful for drum mics and things like that. But the fact that you can do this now within Nuendo itself without having to mess around is very useful for voices as well. So let's have a look at the word problem one more time.
No problem.
So it's too fast. So in the past, what you'd have to do would be to kind of stretch that somehow, or play around with it. But then you'd have to do, how are you going to deal with this? So we're going to go to time warp. Oops, no, we're not. We're going to go to free warp. There we are. And what I'm going to do.
No problem. No problem. No problem.
I'm going to put a warp point. First of all, of course, we need to turn the group editing on, and we'll put the phase coherent editing on as well. So you can see that this has changed to like a dotted background. Now, we would normally need to zoom in maybe a little bit more here. So first thing I'm going to do is put a point there. like that. And then I'm going to put a point here because I don't want it to change anything after this point. I don't want the whole thing to change. So now I'm going to get the word problem. Let's try like here. And I'm going to just stretch it out a little bit.
No problem.
Okay, we'll put that back. Let's try stretching out problem. And you can see what I'm, whoops. You can see what I'm doing here. This part, anything from here onwards is not being affected, and anything from here in front of there is not being affected.
No problem.
Not bad at all. So the bottom line here being that I've moved that. Oops, I keep clicking in the wrong place. This is where we need to zoom in. There we go.
No problem.
It's magic. And okay, you know you could do that, right? But the nice thing here is we've done it to all 3 takes. They're all phase coherent, so that means that if there were different mics, or one of them was a room, an ambience mic, or you know, a take that you wanted to use as the left channel or the right channel or whatever, if they were linked together in any way, the phase coherent AudioWarp will keep them in phase. So you can still do all that, and you can do all this stuff, messing around, you know, changing the timings and so on. Right, well, we're nearly there, to be honest. One more thing I want to show you on this, because we are running out of time. So I'm going to quickly reset with lots of Control Zs. Okay, so we're back to things how they were. It doesn't matter about the settings here of the group edit and so on. So right, okay, so there's our original take at the top.
Come on in and I'll show you some of the
Right, we can put the volume back where it belongs now. So again, another imaginary scenario. For some reason, these 3 takes are all usable, but they're slightly out of line. Now, of course, we can go in and do it manually. Let's have a quick listen to those.
No problem. Come on.
And to make it even more obvious, what we do is we put one of the takes to one side, one of the takes to the other side, and we'll get rid of any effects. And let's have another listen.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here.
So you can tell that they're all over the place. The timing now.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some.
So we now have the new audio alignment tool. Now, again, you're saying that's not new. Well, it kind of is, because previously you could align 2 parts. And if you have multiple takes, like we've got 3 here, and of course, you guys will be used to dealing with way more than 3 different. I'm saying takes here, aren't I? And of course, take is not the correct phrase for what we're dealing with now. What we're dealing with here is multiple sources, isn't it? Multiple sources. So previously our analogy was kind of different takes, but now we're on sources. So these could be the same take but different mics, and of course the same thing applies to what we just did with the phase coherent thing. So very quickly, the new features of the audio alignment tool in Nuendo 12 mean that we can now select our reference, which would be the one at the top, for example, the one that we quite like, and add that. And then we can now add multiple targets. So if there were, oops, let's drag across them like that. If there were 6 of these, we can add them all as targets. We do that. We'll tell it to match words, we'll tell it to prefer time shifting, and we'll go for 100%, and let's keep our fingers crossed, see what happens. So hopefully you saw that move.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on.
That's pretty incredible. I can hear, obviously, because we've got the left and right panning there, I can hear a little bit of a stereo.
No problem. Come on in and I'll show you some of the things going on here. We're recording lots of voices today.
That's pretty impressive. And I would imagine that with a little bit of playing around, you could get that to be very, very accurate. Right, so the final thing I'd like to do today is show you some of the ADR window options. We've got quite a lot of stuff to go through on this, and I'm going to keep it short. I know our friend Lee Riley, check out his video on ADR. So I'm going to just quickly show you a couple of the things that I don't think Lee mentioned in his. So we've got the dialogue in. Let's ignore these takes for now, not important anymore. We've got the dialogue in, and it's all there laid out as we want it. Quick check.
Hello, can I help you?
Hello. Do you mind if I have a look around your studio?
All right, so now we want to do some work on that. In fact, we might have wanted to do it beforehand, but you know, we could have placed all these parts randomly. So what I'm going to do, I want to make some markers that will help us work on that. So now a new feature, which is the ability to create markers from selected events. So we'll go up to Project, Create Markers from Selected Events. And we now have a dialog box. Now, because I've got all the tracks named after each character, I'm going to say event name is description, that's fine. Track name will be the character, and you can add many more of these mappings if you like, but you'll see the end result in a second. So, and I want to add cycle markers, and I want to make a brand new marker track. So let's just do that and you'll see what happens. There we have it. And if we go down now, whoa, okay, we'll pull that back up to the dialogue. And there it is. So we've got all those markers which now delineate clearly, and we can call that dialogue markers. Did I spell it right without looking? Dialogue-y. There we go. All right, and we can make that active. So there's all the individual markers now. Now what we can do is we can look at those in the ADR editor. And you can see a bit of a mess at the moment. But what I can do is load in the one that's had a little bit of work done on it, and then it will make sense. So we'll delete that. Right, so up to File, Import, Tracks from Project. And we're going to find my VO showreel, and what I want to do here is find the VO markers, because I've already done some work on them, as you'll see in a second. And that's all I want. And again, isn't this just marvelous, being able to do this? Individual tracks from other projects. So we don't need any of the other stuff, all the effects and all that. The effects are not relevant. So let's go for it. So the VO markers, and there they are at the bottom. We'll put them back to where they should be so that you can see. Right. So that was what I was showing you earlier on, that, you know, I've done basically a select all, and then made markers from the individual events. So now we're going to open the ADR or markers window. They're both part of the same thing. And we'll select that marker track, which is the VO markers. And you can see now that we've got all those lovely markers with each character under the description And in fact, if we change the, if we add the other columns that we need, so we'll put character there. I mean, this is just immensely powerful. We could have done some of this with the hang on, let's also show the actor's name, which in this case, of course, was all me, but we could probably change some of that. So let's just pretend that somebody else did this and did that. Right. So then we're going to sort these by their position, their start position. You can see that they're already sorted actually. Let's go by type. No, ID. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So these are now in order. Okay, now this is where we bring back our video. So you imagine that we have an actor in the studio, and because I've put all their lines in, you can see if we scroll down. Let's start off at the beginning and see what happens here.
Hello, can I help you?
Hello. Do you mind if I have a look?
So because we've got that particular part selected there, that's what you're seeing underneath the video, and this is what the actor would see. So, all right, so today I just want to record all the parts that the newsreader has done. So we'll go to character. You see the little triangle here. This is all new and exclusive to Nuendo 12. And we'll deselect everything except for the newsreader. And now we can see his parts clearly. And if we do this, you can see that the selection has moved to him.
Okay, let's have a look and see what.
Big pre-fade on there, which is far too much. So let's change that down to 2 seconds, 2 milliseconds. Let's try that and see if that's a little bit more. Right, so now we're going to play this part. Here we go.
And now the news.
Marvelous. So
Statement has been
what you're seeing there is a little countdown for the actor with those 2 lines that come in. You're seeing a cue. If you see it, there's a little orange box here. Sorry, a little green box. I do apologize.
And now the
which is showing that we're just playing. So,
and now the news.
and if we were recording, you'll see that that box becomes red. And so on. Now, this is a hugely powerful feature now. The whole ADR system has been overhauled and souped up, and it will take an entire video to go through it all. As I said earlier, have a look at Lee's video on that because he's covered almost everything. I think he almost also covered all the signal switchboard and so on. You name it, you can do it. And one of the most powerful things now, of course, being the ways to filter. So, all right, I want to do everything that Dave, I've got Dave coming in today, so we'll just show Dave's bits. Dave's got these 2 parts to do. There's the actual script, although you probably wouldn't have that much writing in one place. And then we can reset that back to everybody. We can do the same with descriptions, character. We can filter the character. We only want to do everybody except Phil because Phil's done, so that's now got rid of him, and so on. I mean, it's just immensely powerful. And of course, the way that it works with the video, whether you happen to have video or not, you know, that's up to you. In fact, in this particular case, there was no video involved. Right, I think we'll call it a day there, guys. It's getting a little bit late here, and I hope you've enjoyed some of what I've done today. I hope some of it's made sense. Maybe we'll edit it a little bit down once the live stream's finished being watched, and cut out some of the bits. I've had some assistance today with somebody typing answers to the couple of questions that we've had. Thanks a lot, T, for the thing about the video, and for the rest of you guys as well. It's been really good to see you. I hope it's not too long until I see you again. All right, have a super mega large rest of the day and week. We'll speak soon. Cheers, bye for now.